This is the land that the Queen loved. This is, the estate. This is where she was allowed to ride every weekend and be free. It's very well protected, beautiful countryside. Prince Harry's kept his house there. Prince William now lives there with his family because his children have been just started, literally, at a school nearby. It's going to be very interesting to see who takes residence in the castle. The obvious choice, I guess, is the Prince of Wales, but I don't think the King has had a particular attachment to it, but I think there's a duty almost to have.
So Windsor Castle, the Prince of Wales that's his residence?
The Prince of Wales has a house on the estate, as does Prince Harry and the Duke of York, but the main residence in the castle was the Queen's residence. We haven't been told who's going to be taking that. These
fantastic state apartments built by Charles II. It's as you say, it's been 1,000 years of castle, and it was so loved by the Queen. And here she is being escorted by the household cavalry, and just behind them you can hear them, the massed pipes and drums of the Scottish and Irish regiments. And I think that's one of the most poignant moments we're going to see during the committal service. In the final moment when the Queen's coffin is lowered, her personal bagpiper will play Over the Sea to Sky, and that was a moment we remember from the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral when the piper was playing and the music faded. This moment by which the personal bagpiper will play once more, it's very significant. And here we are, the foreign royals, coming towards us, all related to the Queen, the King of Holland and Queen Maxima.
If you were going to look at a family tree, it all goes up to Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. When it comes to European monarchy, they're all related. So this is a family moment for them, but you'll also have royals from other parts of the world.
The King of Holland was leading the way there, and of course the only reigning queen we have left is the Queen of Denmark, recently celebrated her 50th anniversary.
I remember interviewing Tony Blair arriving as well with Cherie, interviewing Queen Margrethe at one of her jubilees, and she would talk about how she and the Queen Elizabeth and also the Queen of the Netherlands are the only three people that had anything in common. Then the Queen of the Netherlands retired and it was just the two of them, and now Queen Margrethe of Denmark, as Kate was saying, is in this sole position. There's King and Queen of Sweden there on the right.
King of Holland at the front. Netherlands at the front with Queen Maxima.
Yeah, Queen Beatrice there, who was one of Elizabeth's contemporaries, is retired now. So there is a tradition in other monarchies to abdicate, but not in this monarchy, which is why the Queen served as long as she did.
And was working 2 days before she passed, and there is this abdication tradition in other monarchies that you retire so the Crown Prince or Princess can take over.
I mean, these pictures will live in history. And as you say, Anson, earlier,
the honour is so great, the significance, the privilege, and this moment where the Queen goes on her final journey, it's such a meaningful picture, as you say, and although so much is like the funeral of George VI, so much is different. The Queen's own plan. She wished to be seen.
And Stuart is along that long walk, which is where the Queen's casket is now moving. Anna, if you could just tell us what you are seeing from your vantage point and the people around you.
It's an absolutely beautiful scene right here. So we're currently looking at the lifeguards from Household Cavalry who are mounted and passing by. The whole crowd, and we're talking thousands and thousands of people, have fallen silent. They've all rushed up to the barricades and people are holding their phones trying to catch a glimpse of what will pass. You can hear the bagpipes now, this beautiful procession, and in the background the incredible minute guns from the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, and once in a while the bell tolls. An electric atmosphere. I think this is one of those moments where everyone suddenly feels quite emotional and they're waiting for that state hearse to pass them. But right now, all you can hear is the footsteps, the drums, the band, but not a word from the thousands of people crowded here to say goodbye to the Queen for the very last time. Anthony?
Yeah, let's just listen to the bagpipes a bit. Issa Swerves is also with us somewhere there along the long walk. Issa, if you can, tell us where you are and what the people around you are doing.
Anderson, we're just further up from Anna, actually close to the entrance of Windsor Castle here, and I can tell you in the last kind of 20-30 minutes, people started to take their phones out. Children have got on their parents' shoulders to get this moment. This is truly a family affair. All eyes looking down the royal here to try and get a glimpse, of course, of the Queen. This is a moment that so many people have been waiting for. There is silence. There's also a bit of nerves, and I think kind of a solemn moment. It's gone quiet very quickly. This is something that people said to me, gives me 6 o'clock in the moment, a moment in history, the opportunity, their last opportunity, Anderson, to pay their final respects to Her Majesty the Queen. And along the main route here, we've had video, we've had TVs, so people can get, obviously, catch every glimpse. But in the last few moments, they've turned those off because of safety reasons, because of the horses as they come close. Many families have come here and with picnics, with blankets, with chairs. Some have stayed the night. I've met servicemen and women. I've met younger children, all wanting to be here and pay their final respects. And what King Charles called his mother's last great journey, Anderson.
It's also extraordinary. I mean, again, I keep coming back to this, but just how close people are to the monarch, how close they are to. I mean, it's just a few feet on either side that they are that close. I mean, it's very rare in history that probably anybody has gotten that close, at least in recent history, to the monarch in this way.
I think that's why it feels very personal for people. In addition to sort of participating in this grand theatrical moment, there is a moment for everyone standing along the way to have that occasion to watch the Queen's coffin and to have a sort of a more private, introspective moment.
And we're so, I think, unused. I've been doing this podcast about loss and grief, and one of the things that we've been talking about is how we are unused in this day and age to public rituals of grief. It's not something we see very often. It's not something that people knew family members who had died in past centuries, and there were markers and people mourned for a year of public mourning. It's very rare to see public mourning like this, and I think people relate to it and see their own grief in it. Liz Truss, the British Prime Minister, now entering St. George's Chapel, which is nearly full with visiting dignitaries, other royal family members, and extended royalty from all over Europe. Let's check in with Erin Burnett. Erin?
Well, Anderson, we're watching this and marveling at it as you are. And there's something about just the beautiful sunshine, the bucolic vision that we're seeing, Christian, that you were saying as British, looking at this and saying the role of just rolling through the countryside as
that
we are
bit,
seeing.
You're absolutely right. That little bit before it became the long walk, where you saw them sort of stop by what looked like a pub, it probably wasn't, but that's all I could see from here with
Well, it may have been.
And all this pageantry right there in the heart of the country is very, very, very British and very symbolic, and it just makes you realize how dyed in the wool into the fabric of this society this is. Addison was saying that it's rare to see these public rituals and displays of grief, which is true. And so this is another reason, for the first time in 70 years, people have come together as a community, as a whole nation, including the constituent parts of the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland. There may be fractures, political debates and all the rest of it, but for this, they liked her. They liked her, even if they didn't like all the politics and all of that. And she was with them, has been with them for 70 years. So I think that's something incredible. But I also, again, keep trying to figure out the weight of this monarchy. It's also not just continuity, this antique tradition that gets passed down through the centuries, but it's also a little bit of fantasy, or a lot of fantasy, because all of this is an unbelievable film in Technicolor. It's unbelievable to watch this, like It's been rehearsed as you would for a movie or for a play, for a theatre. It's got all the actors and supporting actors. It's got the directors and the producers. It's got the musical score. This
and they
is
play it out over 8 hours in real time.
Yeah, but hold on.
What Hollywood plays
10 days. In 10 days, we've seen this in meticulous detail and procession and, you know, pageantry from the moment her death was announced, whether it was the initial lying at rest at Balmoral and then the coffin moving quite gently with a hearse, not so much of this pageantry through the streets of Scotland all the way to Edinburgh, and then the lying again at rest in St. Giles's Cathedral there, and the walk up the Royal Mile, as they call it. All this cast, this massive cast of brilliant players have come to strut their stuff upon the stage right now.
And Richard Charlotte there today, the next generation, and just a moment ago as we were watching, so many children lining the walk right now.
Everybody has their role to play here, and for the military it is to pay honour to their monarch. For the citizens, or their sovereign, it is for the citizens, it is to pay respects to their queen. For the royal family, it is the passing of the torch, and for people like Prince George who wanted to be here and wanted to take part, and it was done in a beautifully controlled way.
Yes.
It wasn't like Diana's funeral. This was done in a magnificently controlled way, because Max was right earlier when he said, look, it's no use wishing that George wasn't going to have to face this. This is his destiny, if he chooses it.
Right, if he chooses it, but he must be prepared, and you don't just get prepared.
And related to what we're seeing here, you know, we said this was we'd never seen anything like it before, and it was going to be bigger than anything. Well, just look at that picture.
Exactly, and as you said, you know, but for the military, she was also their commander-in-chief, and, you know, that was important, even though she told them, I cannot lead you into battle, I cannot even direct you into battle, but nonetheless, she was the head of the military, and I think that's also remarkable. But remember, this also plays out, I mean, less somberly, but with the similar colour, pageantry, bands, on great glorious occasions as well, or celebrations like her various jubilees, you know, all of those things.
So, in front of what you're looking at there is the Household Cavalry Mounted Division, the Blues and Roses and the Lifeguards of the most senior branch of the army, in addition to which you also have members of the various households. So you have the director of the collection, the Lord Chamberlain's office, the master, a whole variety of different groups who will all be taking part in this procession. And it's a different group. For instance, here you will have local people from Windsor. You'll have those who made the royal party possible in Windsor. They will be taking part in it. So, for example, you've got the Sovereign's Escort from Windsor. I'm looking at the list here. You've got the detachment of the Lifeguards. You've got the King's Arms, the captain of the Bodyguards, and again, immediately in front of the coffin, are those members of the royal household who made the whole thing work. The Lord Chamberlain's office, the master, the keeper of the Privy Purse, the private secretary. They're in front of the hearse, and behind it will be joined members of the royal family when they get to the north.
For a nation that wants to feel grand and to imbibe the grandeur of the past, then this is what this is about as well.
Oh, there is nothing more grand than this. It gives you the grandeur and the glory all in one as the hearse is approaching where it will meet the procession and then, of course, walk up to St. George's where the family is gathered. And that family, of course, Don in New York includes many other royals from Europe to whom the Queen was related via Queen Victoria and her 9 children to so many of them, as well as the entire royal household for this very personal service that we will very soon see.